I just uploaded the video for Thursday. It should be done processing in the next 15 or 20 minutes. And it should be on the playlist. So let's go over the objectives. Let's go to Haven for the first one.
Students will go over authentication via JWT tokens.
Yep, so today we're going to do JWT tokens. And this is how we're going to have the same login system for our web and mobile. With session-based authentication, you can't do that. Right? With session-based authentication, you can only have web-based login systems. Right? You can't log in using that on the phone. Number two, let's go to Qua. Yeah, so we'll go over React Native. So we'll slowly build out the front end for this Jokes app on a mobile device. I guess on a mobile device, there's only a front end. Although they all released like AR kits for augmented reality. Did everyone see like the Nike thing? Nike released this app where it'll scan your shoe and tell you what shoe size, your foot, and tell you what shoe size you are, so you can just order from the app. Pretty cool. And explains why they have like a ton of developers.
There's React 360.
Ooh, do they use React Native?
There's React 360.
React 360. Interesting.
VR on React.
I wonder how many components they support, because Google just came out with their error kit. So I wonder if they support it. They probably support iOS. That's pretty cool.
For HoloLens. Right?
Not for the HoloLens.
No.
For phones. That's pretty cool. Yeah, like I was telling people to specialize later. Let's see, the HoloLens 2 is what? Let's see, yeah, this is insane. See, no gloves.
Reminds me of that movie, Johnny Mnemonic.
yeah, these devices cost $3,500, and companies are already adapting them to train their employees. So I think this is the future, and I'll be specializing in this after this class.
Don't you think though that people kind of want gloves that have kind of like the sensation of touching things as well too?
No, certainly. It'll be interesting to see if they can make gloves that are really lightweight to hold.
Right, like
Yeah.
the actual feeling of holding something,
Mm.
or like if I'm touching it, I actually have like a sensation through my hand that I've touched the button.
No, yeah, I mean the Oculus is a little bit different, so I think maybe they're going for that. I think eventually we'll have something on our tongues too,
Yeah.
so that we could like eat super nutritious food and just taste like anything, right? And then we'll just be in a simulation the entire time, eating, and drones just flying packages to us.
All the old school, all basically regular food.
You'll be so old. Yeah, like I said in the last class, you got to specialize. I think VR is a great thing to specialize in because there's probably a lot to learn. So let's take a look at this app right here. This localhost 3001 is the back end. So we have login, we have sign up, we can get all the pets, get one pet, etc., up to update a pet. Over here, we have our login system right here. So over here, I can sign up. So I'll put in, let's see, put in Haven at Haven, undefined. Did I put password validation in? Oh, must be greater than 5. Sorry, Haven. All right, let's try this. Haven. Great. All right, so now let's log in. And what we'll do before we log in is go to memory. Is that it? No. Yeah, application. I'll go to local storage. Oh, weird. I have a token already. Oh, yeah, because I signed up. But I'll log in. Yeah. So we have this token now. And this is what we're going to use every time we make a request in our app. Every time we make a request, we're going to use this token. And that's going to, we're going to take that token and verify it in our server.js file. And if it's verified, then we know that they're logged in. If it's not verified, then we know that they're not logged in.
That's that way they can't just skip routes.
Exactly. Yeah, so they can't delete something or create something or update. They won't be able to do what they want. And if I change like one thing here, then I won't be able to do something. So now let me click delete. Login, I did. Edit. Or whatever. Maybe I didn't add that functionality in. But let's see. Oh, what did you say?
We were also getting some errors. We are not able to log in or update them.
Oh, weird. Let's go to local storage. Get item token. Let me just see if this works. Okay, cool. Got our token. We'll fix that. All right, let's go over the server.js part. So we have a few packages here. How many packages do we have, Haven? 6. Cool. So what's bcrypt for, Aaron?
That like scrambles your password encrypted.
Awesome. It scrambles our password and then checks what we type in versus the scrambled password, right? So it lets us store passwords but scrambled, encrypted in our database. And what about body parser? What does that do? Jessica.
For the post routes, we use record body.
Excellent.
With that, process.
It lets us access the body of the request, right? For post, put, delete, patch, routes. Really good. What about Express, Qua?
Just makes our routes.
Cool. Helps us make our routes. So our URL, so we can have custom URLs. When someone goes to this URL, we're going to give them this specific response. What about Mongo.js, Josh?
Well, let's communicate with the MongoDB via JavaScript.
Very good, right? We can connect to our Mongo database using this Mongo.js thing in Node and particularly Express. So we have two other things here. .env, JSON Web Token. JSON Web Token is what we're going to use to create the token and verify the tokens. But we still need bcrypt. The one thing we don't have is sessions, right? We don't have sessions over here. .env is something we use for environment variables, and we're going to be using it in conjunction with JSON Web Token. Questions about this? Cool. And let's go to server. And on lines 1 to 31, we're just kind of setting up all the packages, 1 through 31. To set up JWT tokens, you just include JWT equals require JSON Web Token. That's it. And then over here, we need to do .env.config. It loads the env file in. So if we take a look at, where is the env file? Right here, sample.env. This is the env file. This is my secret. I just kind of put in some random stuff over here. It just makes things a little bit more secure because it's going to use this to make the scrambling a little bit more secure. And it's a good practice to just cycle these. So every month you just change up your secret. So that way, if someone did brute force and figure it out, then it's going to change within a month. Someone's logging into my thing.
Did you create that, or was that generated?
Oh, this thing right here?
Yeah.
I just hit the keyboard a bunch of times. Yeah.
So you create your own secret.
No, you could use like sites to do that, or like a generator. Secret. Let's see. Yeah. So this page just randomly creates new secrets every time you refresh the page. What I would do is I would save this as an HTML file on your computer and just do it on your computer, like without the internet. And then it's gonna be hard for someone to just hack it, right? Like you want to be wary of using things off the net and copying and pasting them into your environment variables. But that's it. That loads our environment variables. We set up cores over here. Otherwise, our React app won't have access to any of the routes in our Express app because they're on separate ports. We have this verified token function, but I'm going to minimize that. What does this route do? Let's go to Josh Saeed.
So when you hit localhost 3000 or 3001, whatever the port is, then it's going to give you, send back routes available, log in, sign up, basically everything that you had shown us on that tab.
Nice. Yeah, it's just basically gonna, when you go to the main page, right, as Josh said, whatever port we set up at the very bottom, at the top, it's going to give this response when you go to it. All right, so over here, this is our login route. And we'll first go over our sign up route right here. I put the curl command so you could test out these routes from your terminal without having to use React. So you just copy and paste this into the terminal. But let's go over this one. This is a post route. Can you access this in the browser? No, right? You can only do a curl or an AJAX call or maybe a request. And in here, what are we doing in this code right here, Hayden? Aaron? Just in lines 103 to 105.
Just checking to see if there's a username in our database that matches the one taken from the form on our page.
Perfect, right? We're finding the user based on whatever the user typed into the username input, right? Whatever the user typed into the username input, we're taking that and we're finding if any of the documents match in the user's collection. And then this function executes once that's done. If there is a result, right, we're going to say the user already exists. Why? Because we're signing up. So that username shouldn't exist. So if it does exist, we're just going to we're going to exit out of the function, return, and then send an error. A 406 is, I guess, like I forget what kind of error, but already exists error. That's what I'm assuming. Over here, if they didn't put a password in, they didn't write a password, then we're going to throw you need a password. And then over here, we have some more validation. The password length is 5 or less, then it has to be greater than 5. And then over here, now we're going to use bcrypt to make them password. So we're going to generate a salt, right? And this is in 10 characters. This is going to run the function about like 10 times, essentially. And it's going to generate a random hash. And then we're going to take that hash, and then we're going to take whatever password they wrote. We're going to encrypt it, turn it into a hash. And then we're going to insert that along with their username and the hash into the user's collection. And once that's done, we're going to run this code right here. And we're going to just send back in res.json message successfully signed up.
Is there a reason why we're using Mongo here instead of MySQL?
Just a lot easier.
Yeah.
We don't have to set up a schema or anything.
Yeah.
And we did a lot of MySQL already. Yeah, so that was sign up, and you see that there really we're not using JWT tokens at all here in the sign up. We're just taking whatever password they have, encrypting it, storing it, and that's it. And now let's take a look at the login right here, right? So it looks pretty much similar to the previous login function that we made, /login. If you hit this route with the post request, meaning you can't access this from the browser, only a curl call or AJAX call. If you do that, then it's going to execute this function. If we open this up, what does this code do? Go ahead, Haven.
Same thing. Checks to see if your database. Well, it looks for a username that matches the one entered into your form.
Perfect. It looks for a document with a username field that is equal to whatever you typed inside the form, right? And if we find that after this runs, we're going to run this anonymous function. And if we don't find anything, we're going to say no user was found, right? There is no user with that username. We can't log them in. And then we're going to do a compare sync, right, with bcrypt. We're going to take whatever they typed in to the input, compare it against whatever we have in our database, right? And if they're not equal to one another, right, if they are not equal to one another, then we're going to return a 401 error, incorrect password. And now this is the JWT part. This is it. This is all it is, which is pretty cool. I'm not completely using JWT, like everything that a JWT token has to have. I'm putting the minimum you need in it. Usually you include the encryption technique that you used for the JWT token inside this payload. I'm not doing that. So this terminology, the payload, is something that people say. They call this. It's basically just any information you want to return that recognizes this specific user. So I had the ID and username. In the future, I might have role. Might have a role here, role 1, right, or role user. Any information you want to identify the specific user with, right, you would just put here. And then we make the token. The token, we use jwt.sign. Where does JWT come from?
The environment variable?
Oh, no, right here.
Just secret.
Just right, the variable that we used up here, where we require JSON Web Token, the package. So going down, we call this sign property, pass the payload object, right, where all the user information that we want to recognize a specific user with. And then we pass in, this is where we pass in the JWT secret, from the environment variable, to kind of like make this a little even more secure. And we even say that it expires in 4 hours, right? So that way they can't stay logged in the whole time. But you might not want them to ever expire, you know? You might just want them to stay logged in for like a month or 2 months or 3 months.
What is tracking the time? Once that expires, like what's running in the background to make sure that actually happens?
Yeah, so it's there's a function up here that does that. Because there's nothing in the background that tracks it. There's just a function that we have, and that function just checks if it's a valid token or not. That's all it is. We haven't gone over that part yet. And then, so now we have the token, and now we're going to return this token. Res.json is going to be the response. We're going to send back a message successfully authenticated, token : token. And this token we actually store in React in local storage. You store the token local storage, and then every time you make a request, you just pass the token along. So you have to slightly modify all the code that we did to get everything working. So that was the post. That was logging in, right? So the response right here is we're sending essentially this payload. It's encrypted, but we're sending it, right? Their ID, their username. That's what we're sending back to the user, but encrypted. We're encrypting it because if they decide, the reason why you have to do it like this is because if you send back their user ID, right, and then you store the user ID in local storage, what's the issue with that? And you pass the user ID every time they make a route call. What's the security problem with not encrypting the user information that we send back to the client?
Would you potentially sign in and use their user ID?
You're exactly right. You could sign in, change your user ID to 1, and be admin. And then you could just do whatever you want in the entire site, right? But because it's encrypted, I mean, they can't really change it. If they change 1 letter or 2 letters or 5 letters, they don't know what they're changing, right? Because it's completely scrambled.
Would you want to then, like when you're creating users, do you want to maybe not make it as simple as 0, 1, or 2?
It won't matter. You want to make it you want to do that. Yeah. And with Mongo, anyway, like the ID is like scrambled too.
Yeah.
Yeah. But just encrypting it would be enough. Other questions about this? Okay. Now let's go over a function. So over here, this is /pets, right? db.pets.find. It returns all the pets inside the pets collection. So if they're not logged in, we're still going to show the pets. If they are logged in, we're going to show the pets, either one. And now over here, this gets us a particular pet, right, based on the ID. So we use the ID right here from rec.params.id, and we find one document, and we send back that document as JSON. Now we're not making them have a JWT token over here either, right? So they can not be logged in and access this route. Now they have to be logged in. So app.post pet/update : here. Let's do another one. This one right here. So app.post/pets verify token. So this is interesting. We haven't done this before, right? So we haven't done this before. So what happens when someone hits this route /pets with a post? What happens is it runs this function. And then after this function is ran, this function has something special inside of it called next. And what it'll do is it'll hit this next function right here. And this function will execute, but only if this function triggers the next part. So if the token's verified, we're going to insert the pet using rec.body.name, rec.body.type. So let's go to the very top and look at what verify token does. So I'm taking 3 arguments into this function, rec, res, and next. And then over here, I'm getting the token from the body or from the query parameters or from the headers. So there's 3 ways I'm trying to get the token. So if any one of those ways has the token, I'm going to grab that value and put in token. We can just always use rec.body.token, but we don't know. Maybe it's a get request, right? And the token's passed in the URL parameters. So if we have a token, we're going to do some stuff. If we don't have a token from the bot request, we're going to send back a message saying 403 no token. And then if we do have a token, we're going to run jwt.verify, right? Which JWT is from, right, exactly, this node package. And we're going to take the token, we're going to take the secret that we have in the server, right? And then we're going to run this ES6 function. It doesn't have to be ES6, it just was. And then if there was an error, then we're going to send back wrong token. Otherwise, we're going to set rec.decoded and put decode in there. Decode is going to be the JWT token, unscrambled, unencrypted. So that way we can know what ID and username inside of our route. And then we're going to call the next function. And this is special. What it's going to do is it's going to run that function. It's going to run this function right here. So it's going to run this, and if it never hits next, it's never going to execute this function.
Where is next part?
Next is part of Express. Next is part of Express. It's just available inside of every route. Go ahead, Kwok.
So we're unscrambling the decoded?
Oh, yeah, with verify. So on this line right here, jwt.verify, this verify function is provided to us from the JSON Web Token. We're right here, decode. That's the decoded, unencrypted or unscrambled payload.
But why do we need to do that if we're not using it in the route that we're trying to hit?
Oh, we're just doing it. We will be using it in other routes.
But it decodes it every time? Just
Yeah, it decodes every time. Yeah, it's good because, like, I mean, in this is a very simple case, right? We're just inserting pets. But if I wanted to store the user ID, right? Rec.decode.id. I could just do that, yeah. And that's probably something you want to do. Yeah. Yeah. And now that's it from the server side. That's all you do from the server side, which it's not that bad. There's a verify, and there's a verify function where we verify the token, and then there was a sign function. So we just use 2 functions here, .sign and .verify. Everything we did in bcrypt stays the same. And now let's take a look at the React part.
Really quick though.
Yeah.
Where is that payload encrypted? How is that variable encrypted? Like where?
Oh, right here. JWT.sign. That's what encrypts it.
Encrypts that payload
Mhm.
variable?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's encrypting the payload
Okay, gotcha.
with the secret that we have in our environment variables.
Yes.
Yeah. And I said expires in 4 hours, and let me see, did I even look for that? Yeah, it looks like I don't look for the 4 hours. Verify might actually verify that the token was 4 hours old. I'm not exactly certain though. It might. All right, so now let's take a look at the client. meaning the React part. So over here we have app.js, and I have something right here, logged in, false, right? Logged in, false. Everything else is very similar to what we did before with jokes. So logged in's false, and then I have this special function right here, get token, which will return local storage.get item token, right? So it's just going to grab the token from local storage. That's what the get token function is going to do. And I've logged in false. So I'm just going to look for logged in. Cool. So over here I have a login function that's triggered when I click that login button. And it's going to prevent the default action so the form doesn't submit to itself. It's going to grab the value of username and grab the value of password from whatever they type in. And over here, I have put the login function inside of a file called services, inside of a folder called services over here. I broke it up so I could, it's better to take code and just put it into a separate file if it's just too long. So we'll go over this login function in a second. But I'm taking the username and password that they typed in React. And when this login function's done, then we're going to take the result. And if the result has a token, then we're going to do this. Otherwise, we're going to alert you were not logged in. Right? So we're going to this.set state logged in true. And now this is interesting. What am I doing here on lines 143? I mean, I'm setting logged in to true, but what is this function right here, and why do I have it here? Maris, Judika, and Sandy?
So first we have the state as login false. So when the login function is called, you set the state to true. So
Good.
now the user is logged in.
Mm-hmm.
And then you check for the token in the local storage and set it.
Excellent, really good. So I want to set logged into true, and after that is complete, because that's going to actually take some time, right? I don't know how long this will take. Logged in : true. So after this is completely done, then I'm going to set the token in local storage. I don't want to set the token in local storage until logged in is true, right? Why? Because if logged in is true, then the form, the sign up form and the login form goes away. I have an if statement down below. I don't know why it's not working. We'll figure it out, but that's why. I don't want them to like re-log in after they've logged in. So now let's take a look at the login function. So I have at the very top over here, I put two functions inside something called authservice.js. So typically, if you have any JSON, if you have any like fetch calls or AJAX calls or Axios calls, you put them inside of a file and you put them inside services, a services folder. I mean, you could keep them inside this file in this app.js, but it gets really long, and then you're going to get merge conflicts with other people. So over here, I'm importing two functions, a sign up and a login. Neither of these functions are default because you see the curly brackets right here. And I'm importing them from this authservice.js file in the services folder. So if I go into the services folder, go to authservice, we see the login function right here, right? And the login function is going to localhost 3001. I'm not using the proxy in the package.json file of the client folder. That's why we're prepending this with localhost 3001. Why am I not doing that? When I taught this to the class at the time, I never taught it to them how to use a proxy, but I did teach it to you guys. So over here, we're going to hit the login route with the post method. Just say that we're using JSON, stringify the username and password, and then get the result in JSON, right? And then this is what I'm exporting. So I'm importing this login function right here. And then I'm using it right here. See, I'm passing the username and password, and then I'm chaining. You can chain on a .then, which is really cool with promises. you could import like a promised function, and then you could just throw a .then on it and just say, whenever that's done, do this stuff right here. So now that the token is set in local storage, we have other functions, right? We have over here, let's see, we have a create pet function right here, a create pet function. And when you click that create pet button, we grab the name of the pet, the type of the pet, and we call the create pet function, right? That's also in the services folder. We take the name and type and pass that along with this .get token, the result of this .get token. This .get token is going to return us the token from local storage right here. So I'm going to pass the name, the type, and the token. And whenever that's done, then I'm going to take whatever pet they have. I'm going to set it to local. I'm going to set it to the state. I'm putting whatever pet that they just created and putting that into state right here. I'm making a brand new array. I'm taking all the previous pets. I'm taking whatever new pet that they just created, putting it at the end of this brand new array, and taking this array and replacing pets inside storage, inside state. So where is create pet coming from? It's coming from right here, from the pet service in the services folder. We're taking 4 functions: load pets, delete pet, create pet, and update pet from pet service. So in the pet service file, we have the create pet at the very bottom. And here we go, name, type, and token. Right, we're taking those in right here. That's why I did name, type, and this .get token right here in the create pet function. So over here, I return a fetch call to /pets post, right? Why? Because in the server.js file, right here, it's .post/pets. And what I'm doing over here is, after I take the name, type, and token, I put it into the body of the request right here, and then I return the JSON response of it. And that's where we continue off in app.js over here, right? After that's done, then I take that JSON response, and that's basically the new pet. I just put it into this new array called pets, and then I update state with it right here. So there's a lot. I'm going to let you guys take a look at it with groups. Let me just make sure it works on my side. So over here, let me refresh. And let me see local storage. Looks like we do have a token, but I'm not sure why it didn't log me out. So I'm going to restart. Really? Okay, we don't see a token right now. And let me just go into our Mongo database. and see what passwords we have. I'm not even sure what the name of the database is, so I'll go server.js at the very top. It's petsdb. So how do I get into my Mongo console?
Mongo.
Nice. How do I show my databases?
Show databases.
How do I get into petsdb?
Yeah, you use that.
How do I show my collections?
Show collections.
Nice. How do I show all my users?
Users, offline,
All right, so it looks like we have Haven at haven.com, Haven, and then that's Haven. Okay, let's try this right now. We should see. Let's see what the errors are. Yep, we got an error. All right, so let's see what's wrong here. /login error connection refused. Failed to fetch. Okay, so maybe I didn't have cores. That's strange. Let's see over here. Secret or private key must have a value. Um, get out of the client folder. I'm using JWT secret right there. You know what? Probably screwed this up. Let me take off these stupid carrots. Let's just redo the node modules. I know this worked. All right, so now let's try it again. Failed to fetch again. Huh. And let's take a look over here. Yeah, it's an error over here with sign.js. Okay, here. It's something with JSON web token. Web token. Let's see what this error is. All right, let's see right here. Interesting. Maybe it's a problem with Nodemon. Let's try just Node. Try again. Same deal. Okay, I'll look up one more thing, and then I'll let you guys go over it. Let's see. It didn't include this though. Or maybe I have to pass in a key. Maybe it wasn't able to grab, let's see over here. Maybe I wasn't able to grab this. Okay, so I'm hoping I'll see this inside the node server. Okay, so it's undefined. There we go. That's the error. What the hell? Why did that not work? It's probably because I called it sample.env. I'm an idiot. God damn it. I wrote all these instructions out here. What did I say? Rename. Oh, .env. Moron. All right, here we go. All right, now it should work. Yeah, the reason why I didn't make it .env when I zipped it up is I couldn't zip it up because it would be a hidden file for you guys. All right, so now let's try it. All right, there we go. So now it should work. So let's try it now. All right, great. So now it logs them in. And if we take a look at application tokens here. And now the entire front end changes, right? Because we got rid of, because login in the state is true now. So we got rid of that. And now we could add pets in. Haven, what's your pet's name again? Oh, but your future pet. Philip. It's funny. It's funny when people use names like people, because I know those people. I know people named Philip, or a person named Philip.
Yeah, I want to have a dog named Steve.
Damn it! What the hell? Okay. Let's see here. Looks like I have an error on line 43. This looks like a stupid error because
There was an extra comma somewhere.
really? Okay, let's try to fix that. Okay. You see an extra comma somewhere? Sometimes these things sometimes like there's a character that's off or something. I'm gonna save this. We're gonna just try it one more time. Oh, look, do you see? I see tabs versus spaces. Let me convert them all.
In your variable payload, you were trying to show us something like that. I saw it.
Oh, in the payload?
Yeah,
Where?
or var payload.
Oh, that's fine. You can have an extra comma there. Yeah, totally fine. And try this one more time. All right, that works. Oh, man, okay. What is happening here? Let's click delete. Let's see if that works. Okay, well, we could delete. Let's see if we can edit. We can edit. Just can't. Here, one sec. Let's try this. I'll put this on this line right here. Maybe it was like an extra line. We'll try that. Interesting. Something wrong with this stupid code. Let's see. Anyone? So we'll put that on the extra line. And I'll just put everything on one line. There we go. Perfect. Okay, well, we didn't. Oh. Not sure what's wrong here. Let's see if you guys get that error, but everything else works. I'll try to figure this out. How about you guys go over this with each other, right? Line by line. You need to rename sample.env to .env. And then it should start working. Okay, let's see what is wrong with this thing. Wow, this gave an error right here. That's pretty wild. Oh, well. How did this give an error? Oh, well, that's fine because it's not returning promise.
Says you can't create pets, right?
Yeah, I just can't create pets for whatever reason.
I'm just running it. It's working.
Yeah, it's something to do with my text. Sometimes that happens. I'm gonna just rewrite an entire function. So frustrating.
When you're doing something else, you think you messed it up?
It's possible. Sometimes. Um, well, let's try this right here. Man, it's still giving me an error. Oh, this stupid dot then is on the wrong part. Dot then right here. Maybe that was it. Let's try that. No. One more time over here. Wow, just not having it. Let's see, app.js. Yeah, just not doing it. Can't you see anything wrong? It's working for other people, not me. I'll delete these extra enters. I did change it to server.js file. I wonder if our pets have been being made. Ah, they haven't been being made. For whatever reason, it works now, but it was because I put in user ID. I added the user ID in here. It's very weird that that was the issue because I added the user ID in here. So strange. Rec.decode. Decoded. Damn it. I wrote decode. Should have been decoded. I had, let me show you what I had. It's decoded, not decode. And that's what was giving us the error. It was never sending us back the saved pet. So let's try it right now. Yeah, now it works. Cool.
You package that up and send it to us.
Yeah, you got it.
All I have to do is yarn install on the numbers.
Yarn install in both places, in the client and outside the client. And then node them on server, and then yarn start. I'll have to watch that, Fernando.
No?
All right, guys, so I want you to go over this with your partners for the next 15 minutes. Go through it. Raise your hand if you have any questions. Aaron?
Is it just that added line that you added that's the difference between what you did?
That was literally the only, this is the only difference.
Between the two zips.
That's it,
Okay.
yeah.
Got
Oh,
it.
also the .env file I screwed up. It might
Oh,
not
yeah.
be there.
Source.
Hold on one sec. Guys, hold on. Damn it. Ugh.
So when you send it out, it's just an ENV file. It won't show.
Yeah, because it doesn't have a file name. So when I zip it, it's not going to be there. That was the whole reason why I did it in the first place, but then I forgot about that.
Yeah, come on.
What's up, dude?
That movie was literally doing everything that HoloLens was doing. But that's
Well, how old is that?
which is crazy.
That's so cool.
Every links back to your
Let me see. 1995, dude. Those writers and that director, they predicted the future. Let's see. So violent.
And I have value to my
Yeah, it does. You're right. You're right. Keanu Reeves.
Space the Matrix.
Yeah, it's the chick from Starship Troopers.
Ice That's cute. Wait, Ice Tea.
Okay.
It's crazy how movies probably impacted the technology that we have right now. That's cool. I'm gonna watch that.
Cult classic
Oh,
right
wow.
there.
He named it sample so that we can actually set. But we want to have sample.
That sucks. I'm sure there's one engineer here that feels really bad.
But you can't set it that way. You have to- Right. So the difference if you're looking at say in SQL is just a connection that query line
Yeah,
inserting.
yeah. The only difference here is like the inserts. And any DB call would just change to SQL. So this would be insert into.
Would you need the connection that query line?
Yeah, absolutely. And then you would do rec dot by dot name. Well,
Oh, really?
yeah, it'd be something like this. Right, so you would do the call that you need to do, and you would install the MySQL package instead of the MongoJS package. You got to rename sample.env to .env.
Just on ENV.
Yeah. It's funny how I forget that after like just a few months. Even wrote a README file.
Is the document file global to the entire project, or it's just like in the server of the group?
It should be global because it's part of the environment variables.
So inside of client, see it too.
If you inside the package.json, I think. I don't think you can access environment variables from the front end.
So yarn install both the main folder and in the client folder.
Yeah, you yarn install the main folder and then inside the client folder. And then the main folder, nodamon server.js, and inside the client folder, yarn start or npm start. What's up?
Underscore function. Is that just like a front end syntax?
Oh yeah, so over here, ask a question. Inside services, I put an underscore in front of all the functions and services. And the reason for that was so that way it was easy to recognize what's a service and what's not. Yeah. It's just my convention though. Other questions that are coming up? Anything?
When you see service,
Hmm?
it's kind of like an API, right?
Yeah, an API request. Yeah. So this is like a service method or an API call method. An API and a service are just the same thing. I was just using the terminology that everyone else seemed to use. Yeah. Like you could call the folder like API calls.
So when you are calling the input in the like name, so you are saying event.target.children0.value.
Yeah, let me just take a look real quick. In 55, okay. Right here.
Yeah. If there is an ID for that, you can call it as event.target.document.getElement by ID.
Yeah, you could use what you call it, document. Yeah, document.query selector if you want. I'm just using event.target here, and you could use jQuery here too. I'm just avoiding it only because people seem to not use it, so I'm just not using it. But if it was a real project, I would use jQuery. Hmm?
The verify token function.
Yeah, sure.
It says bar token equals body token, token. Right now.
Oh wait, which line? Which line?
Verify token function.
Yeah.
So line 54, right?
Mm-hmm.
So those first two, for this example, it's going to be null because we didn't send our token in our service function. Service
Auth service. Let me see.
We're only sending username and password.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So.
But we're not calling it. So here, take a look over in the login function. I don't have verify. I'm not calling the verify function here in login. And same thing in sign up. I'm not calling in sign up either.
We're calling it that's an update. I do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm calling it everywhere else.
Yeah,
Verify
so,
token.
Why would we ask it to look inside the recto body? We're not going to pass it in recto body. Or is that just?
Oh, we are passing recto body though. We're always passing recto body.
No. Our token is in the recto body in our service.
It is.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So in pet service, see right here, name type token. It's in the body of the request.
Oh, looking at login.
On service, go, so did you download?
Yeah, all services doesn't have it, but pet services does.
Got it. We're on service.
Okay.
Services.
We don't ever use brand on this, right?
I'm not, but you certainly can. And it would be fine too.
Oh, yeah, I see the URL.
Yeah.
You do want to void it though. You do want to void params because people could bookmark it by accident or something.
It's just, remember I just had that error because I marked up.
Oh man, I thought you put on VR head goggles for a second, and then you just put it behind your ears. I'm like, oh my god.
I'm not actually here.
What were you saying?
Remember how I can get my rectability to work? So I can push that error. So I just have to use params just to because I don't have this.
It's so weird. Nick can't use localhost. Like he can't use the word localhost. He has to say 127.0.0.1. It won't work with localhost on his computer.
I put it,
Like any application, he can't use the word localhost.
maybe I put it something like etc. That's not in here.
Okay. It is in his home directory.
No, it's in the etc.
Oh, okay.
etc. host.
Mhm.
So,
Oh,
I put
interesting.
it there.
Interesting. All right, we'll do 5 more minutes. Questions? Anyone? Do 5 more minutes, go on break, come back, do React Native.
So go to Slack and then just download that list one, and then I'll show you how to change it.
What's up, dude?
Are you familiar with C++ add-on for Node?
No. No.
I'm playing around it. It's like,
Are you learning it?
I don't know if I'm learning. I'm just playing around it.
You can do it, man.
You can
mean-
create objects, pass around objects, and then pass it back to JavaScript.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so
Well, when would you use that?
let's say I want to use the SDK for Bluetooth on the back end.
Hmm.
So you have to use the SDK of Mac OS, right?
Hmm.
So that's how you talk from JavaScript, from Node to your back end, right?
Hmm.
That's how you talk to the, yeah. So just playing around.
Oh, we got a car.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, we got a car.
What did you get?
Camry hybrid.
Oh, that's nice.
It was,
Yeah,
it was really nice.
yeah, it's
It had,
big. Yeah.
and it was big, 50 miles per gallon. It's crazy.
Nice, nice,
Yeah.
nice. Yeah, that's good. Why did you not get the
Prius,
Subaru?
Subaru, it was like 20 miles a gallon. It was like-
Yeah,
And then we looked at gas prices. It was like,
yeah. Now it's worth it,
Yeah,
right?
like
I don't
four
think they're that good for city.
Subarus,
Yeah. They're
Yeah.
good for more like
off-road stuff.
Yeah, who live in like suburbs or rural areas.
Yeah, they're really good. And plus, California has great weather, so you don't need them.
It's good times.
Lake Tahoe, you're right.
Mhm, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
from
one
upstate
reason.
New York, people have them because you have
Yeah.
all most of them, I think they're all-wheel drive.
Man, upstate New York was like, oh my god, it was nuts. Like,
It's a depressing.
oh well, it's funny. It's funny that you when you're a kid, it's not. It's amazing, right? Like, cause there were hills, and then my friends and I would just go sledding.
Yeah.
It was great.
Oh yeah, we would go on like golf courses and stuff like that.
Just so much fun. And then we made these like snow caves.
Yeah.
It was
Oh, yeah.
insane. And then teachers were like scared that
Oh, people have died.
They-
in
they
the-
collapsed that the snow
they'll
cave would
collapse,
collapse because it was just 5-year-olds making them. So
I live right next to a cul-de-sac, and so when the snow plows came around, and they would make these huge mountains of
Yeah,
snow,
so
like
cool.
in front of people's houses.
Yeah.
So you would make tunnels inside them. And stuff.
so nuts. Yeah. And then it was cool because like my backyard was huge and we had a forest. Like,
Yeah.
behind that was a forest, and there were garden snakes. There were so
Oh,
many
yeah,
animals, just hanging out, and
Yeah.
it was a great place to grow up.
Yeah,
I mean-
I used to go to the daycare. I used to go to. We used to catch. It was backed up to the woods. We used to catch like frogs and toads.
That's so
all the
cool,
time.
yeah. Yeah, growing up around animals is the way to go.
And then you back out, go you have to go to the on server.js, and the whole server started. Yeah, it's not a client, and then you do.
Yeah, what's up?
Our schema, and it shot up as an arrow. Sorry. I'm trying to figure out what it is. Project. It keeps saying there's a syntax error around both of these. Here are the references. I'm just trying to figure out what it is.
Yeah.
You only have the final.
You didn't do that well? Okay. However, you need to search for it.
Oh,
I don't see anything. Let's see.
oh, that's great. That is
Oh, do you not? You don't have a primary key. Oh, you do. Primary key right there.
It's looking for. Looking for this one, so you don't have it. You have to create a secret file. Yeah, so.
Oh yeah, you need a primary key here.
On this first lab, files there.
Like an ID primary key?
Yeah.
Because I can't make the save as have a primary key.
Yeah, I think. Oh, I didn't even see that.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Now to try now.
Okay.
Did everyone leave? Let's
Now
see.
it's really worth to get a hybrid, right?
Yeah,
4
it's,
bucks a gallon, 4 plus something a gallon.
plus it's better for the environment. We looked at electric cars, but then I mean, it was like
Too
hard.
much, right?
Well, Teslas are expensive, and then Volt have problems with their batteries
The problem is just finding places to charge.
and then
charge,
charge,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So you have a home where
Yeah.
I mean, our parking thing has a charging station,
Oh, wow.
but if we want to take a road trip somewhere, like
Yeah,
I
it's
still
not.
don't,
It's not.
I don't know if it works.
Yeah.
There are some I drove. I think I was driving to LA one time. And I stopped literally in one of those towns. It's just like fast food restaurants, and it's like
They had electric.
they were just randomly behind like a Starbucks, and there was a whole line of Tesla
Oh my
charging
God.
stations, like in the middle of completely
Nowhere.
nowhere.
That's insane.
Yeah,
But then you have to coordinate your, you have to make sure
right.
you stop at the right
At the
town,
right exact
Yeah.
town, right? Yeah.
or else, if you're stuck in traffic.
There's a hydrogen car that Toyota makes. It's called the Murano or something. I was like can I test? They didn't have one though, unfortunately. That'd be so cool. It also sounds scary.
But you'll be the guinea pig for that.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's gonna blow up and I'm gonna die. Crazy the Teslas like went on fire and stuff.
Yeah.
It's amazing how the company just like bounces back from that. Phones explode, cars go on fire, and people are fine. Still getting an error.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah. Maybe.
That's the error. I'm kidding. SQL's the worst to it. Defining errors, like it never usually works exactly as it is.
Error. That is so interesting. I commented out all of this stuff right here. Still gave me an error. Comment all of this.
And just look.
Okay, well, can't create database exists. Okay, well that. Okay, well that worked. I don't know if this would even matter.
Rooms like it's going increment right, and then just like those stupid things like
Well,
that.
yeah, I spelled decoded font.
That's usually me if it's spelling.
Yeah, it's crazy. It says line 5, there's no distinct 255 bar charts. Bar chart distinct. It's distinct, not unique. That doesn't look right, but just try
I
it.
checked it. Aren't they kind of like interchangeable? Or no?
No. You're probably right.
I looked it up and it said that you could. It's actually looked up and remember which one it was.
Weird. I'll be right back.
Okay.
I'll be right back. Oh, shit.
Are you getting an error?
Yeah, we can't figure out my database.
Oh yeah? Oh, you're changing it to what's that?
This is for the project.
Oh, okay.
There's something in here that's gets thrown up a syntax error. For both
For
of
this?
those, yeah.
Distinct. Bar car. Should distinct be the first before the word bar car? Bar chart?
Does the order matter?
I think. What's the error?
Well, I'm also getting, when we commented these out, we're also getting an error down here as well.
Oh yeah,
It's just-
It's because of this one.
It has to do with the order?
When should it be distinct?
Because I don't want other people use it. Like,
So it's like an ID?
yeah,
Oh.
it's unique
Wait.
to that. It's unique to that.
Is distinct used in creating tables or distinct should be? Oh, anyway. Yeah. I think distinct. Let me just check. It's distinct, right? Distinct. Yeah, it's only for select, I guess.
Would it be unique?
Yeah, I think. All right, let me see. Yeah, I think so.
What's the error for?
My MySQL database is just saying a syntax error. No, it's still.
Have a unique key.
Unique key?
It's not a combination of.
I just took it out. I don't think I need it.
Yeah, but you can have a unique index if you want. It's a combination of all the keys, you know.
So okay, so that's fine now, but my other two tables are still having errors here. So these two tables are still kind
So what's the error though?
similar. It's saying syntax near references users are.
Going to your references. User's ID, primary foreign key, user ID. References, users ID. Wait. Oh yeah, foreign key, user ID, foreign key. Is that how you use it? I'm not sure anymore. Okay. Okay. Foreign key. Will you put parentheses on this one?
I think that is it. I always don't do that. I 100% think that's it. And that's been my problem all the time. I do that all the time because it honestly doesn't make any sense to me.
Correct. So basically, you can.
It's in there now.
Yeah. I think it's when you have multiple. But how can you have multiple foreign keys, right?
Right.
And then just reference it into a one.
We're good. We just got rid of we got rid of the distinct. I think that maybe that's what you use when you call like a select. But I don't think I really needed it anyways.
Okay.
And then the other one for the references, I always forget to put parentheses around the foreign key.
Oh man, I forgot that too. It looked fine to me.
I always forget that. Like literally, I see you always forget
I made it work, man.
You got it to work?
Yeah.
Nice.
So you create the object. You create the object in C, in C++. So you create the initializer, you create the object. Then in your JavaScript, you can do something like this, but this is what it's created. It's instantiated in C++.
That's really cool, man. Wow.
I mean,
One time I used C++ was for, what was it, EOS.
oh, okay, yeah.
I was just trying it out.
Yeah.
I didn't really understand
Yeah,
it.
me too. It's like, I have no idea what C++ is.
Yeah, I learned Java, but not C++ ever.
And then they have like, and V8 keeps on changing, right? And then Node is trying to keep up, and the libraries are trying to catch up too.
It's nuts.
Oh, no.
It's
Yeah, exactly. All day, just
Yeah.
barely sipping on it.
You want the ice diluted a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Because
You don't want to chug it because then it's going to hit you all at once. Would you get one meat?
Yeah.
How far away is that?
You know where the Wells Fargo is? Down the street. It's on what's that name? Mission? Yeah. It's
So
right
you
there.
go out the door, you make a right, and you make
just
a
go
first
all
left.
the way down. No, you just keep going all the way down until you hit
About
the Wells Fargo, and then
Oh.
the bidding store is right behind it.
Okay, so maybe it's market then?
Might be market, yeah. Whatever street goes straight to the ferry
You
building.
walk out of the door. And
You're right. Just keep going all the way down.
All the way down to market?
Yeah.
Yes.
2 blocks down?
Yeah, and then cross market, and then you'll see the window. It's called Levigan.
Okay. Is it good?
Yeah, it's super good.
Second what? Is that like it?
Want to buy?
No, I would. No, thank you. I appreciate it. I'm just, pour it right now.
How
Huh?
what's the name?
I think it's called Levigan.
Oh, no, okay. Oh.
Generic.
I love banh mi.
Yeah. Just always is the spot.
It's like just such a good fresh sandwich, like on a French baguette, with all like the carrots and everything
Yeah,
else.
I
in
love
there.
the pickled stuff.
Yeah, exactly. It's just so good.
Maybe less central. No, it's not.
board. All right, so I have React Native installed. Some of you have set it up on your computers. If you haven't, it's not that bad. Well, actually, it is horrible. But it used to be like a week of work. Now it's like 30 minutes or 20 minutes. So I have a list of things that I did. So I ran this command, npm install -g expo cli. It used to be so much harder than this. Oh my God. In 2015, 2016, it used to be so hard. But you just install this, and then you could do expo init, the name of your project, go into the folder, and then you could do npm start, or you could do expo start. Now, the thing is, Expo is like an app that you download on your phone, and you could stream the mobile app onto your phone. But it only works if your computer and your phone is on the same Wi-Fi, and we can't do that here, unfortunately. And you need to have direct router access to your phone. So the Wi-Fi here, we don't have direct router access. So instead, what I did was I installed the simulator on my computer. So I have this simulator right here. And this is provided to us by Xcode. So you have to have Xcode on your computer. And what I did was I ran npm run iOS, right? This only works for Macs. For Windows, you're gonna have to run npm run Android. For the most part, what we're gonna be doing is gonna work on both the iOS and the Android phone. But there are gonna be certain components that will only work on Android and certain components that will only work on iOS, since they're two different phones. You can share components though, especially service files. So my terminal, I just wrote down like any errors I got. My terminal told me to do this. It seemingly worked. I got this error after running the above command. And then the solution, once the simulator ran, I went to hardware, erase all content and settings, and I restarted the whole thing, and then it started working. So if you see this error right here, you could go to hardware, erase all settings, and then just close out of everything, and then restart npm run iOS. Another error I got was after doing the above thing, it kept rebuilding the JavaScript bundle every 2 seconds and kept restarting the app constantly for about around 10 minutes. And then I did nothing and waited, and it stopped. Yeah, so that was the solution. Kept looking up things, but then eventually just stopped. Yeah. And then I have some tidbits of things that previous students have shared. So let me send this to you guys. I will put this as a folder. So what is React Native? It's like React. Use React-like code, and you can build native iOS and Android applications. So it'll boil down to Objective-C, and it'll boil down to Java. Yeah, and so you can make it'll be exactly like a normal iPhone app or a normal Android app. The main difference is that you're using JavaScript and React-like syntax for it, and CSS-like syntax, whereas you can't really do that with iOS. You can't really use CSS with if you're going to write Objective-C or Swift. You can use CSS with Android Studio. So it's like, why doesn't everyone use React Native? Like, why even make an app in Swift? Well, React Native doesn't have all the functionality, right? So you can do a lot with it. I mean, the Facebook app is made out of React Native. Airbnb's app is made out of React Native. A lot of apps are, but there are things that you won't have access to. I think it has about 5% of all functionality of the modules available. And that is significant though. You can do a lot with just 5%, but there is a lot of things that you can't do with React Native. But for the most part, you could do basically anything that we've made in this class, you can basically do on the phone with React Native. So after I ran npm run iOS, it didn't work. And then I erased the hardware and then I restarted. And then you'll see a pop-up over here come up that says like use Expo. You have to click OK, and then it worked for me now. So sometimes it takes a little bit getting used to, but it works eventually. All right, so let's take a look over here to the code. Well, I guess we could take a look at where's the code? Yeah, so we see over here, these are the pets that we made, AC, Manny's pet, Mises, right? Those are the pets that we made earlier or updated. And this is my React Native application to the left. And the main thing that I have right here is app.js. I just put the whole thing in one file just to make it easier to look at. Not easier to look at, just easier to send to you guys and work with. So it's not going to be exactly like React code, right? We are going to import React and component, but there is no HTML in React Native. There's no HTML at all. Everything's a component. So I'm gonna import text view, style sheet, list view, text input, and button from the React Native package. And text is like a paragraph. View is like a div. Style sheet is an object that holds your CSS. List view is like a UL element. Text input is like an input, and button's like a button. And over here, it's going to work very similar, right? We're going to make an app. I'm going to export as default and extend the component, right? Just like normal React stuff. We have a constructor, just like normal React stuff. And it's really weird, but if you want a list element that's tied to some data, you need to call the data source function from the list view object, that list view component that we imported up above. And you have to pass in this object like this. And I got this straight from the documentation. It basically checks if any rows have changed, and then it updates the list view, which is like a UL. And we have our state over here, pets, name, type. Pets, name, and type. And this looks weird. It's basically an array. It's basically an array that works with the list view. I got this and this right from the documentation on facebook.com. And components and mount, it works very similar to what we just recently did. We're doing a fetch call to /pets on port 3001. We would deploy our API, right? And then we would put that URL in here instead. But for local purposes, this works fine. And then I'm going to take the results, convert it to JSON, return that, get all the pets, and then set the pets into state. So this is basically setting the pets into state, but I have to do it this way because of I'm using list view. There is a new component that makes it a little bit easier to work with. Instead of doing things like this, and this right here, there's a new component that makes it a little bit less verbose. I forget the name of it though. So with componented mount, this right here and this right here, we have all of our pets listed on the page right here. And if we take a look at the view down below, this list view component, we're putting the data source, this .state.pets, there's no loop, right? And we have a render row function, and this is kind of like acting like the map. This right here is acting like the map. And we're mapping over every pet and making a div tag, which is basically a view component. And then we have a text component, which is basically a paragraph tag, putting the name, the type into it. And I could just add another one. I could say ID. And then we see the ID right here. So it just auto refreshes, which is cool. And now what I'll do is we have the CSS over here in the style sheet component. And what's interesting with all the classes for React Native, you have to use camel case for everything. So any class padding top is normally padding dash top, but over here it's padding capital top. Some minor differences. But overall, they made it so much easier to make mobile apps because you don't have to learn Objective-C or Swift. And it is kind of a pain to know how to learn how to use Xcode and Android Studio. It's not that easy to use. So it is kind of nice that they made it like this. But it does lack functionality. You can't do everything that you would like. So now what we'll do is, let me go to GitHub. All of this stuff that we don't need anymore. And I will add in something for my notes. In here. So I'll have a button. That when you click on it, it'll add that pet, right, into our database, and it'll hit the route, the appropriate route. So down here, make a button, I'll say add pet, and I'm going to trigger a function called handle button press. Oh, I actually had that already. No. Okay. And now I will look for the handle button press function. Copy that over. Put that right below componented mount. And instead of hitting this URL /pets, I'm going to hit localhost http://localhost 3001/pets. And to post route, I'm going to json.stringify this.state.name and type. And then I'm going to take the results, convert it to JSON, return it, and it's the saved pet. And saved pet goes right here, this.state.pets. For whatever reason, when you're using list view, it's really strange, but when you do this.state.pets, it's not the pets. You have to do ._datablob.s1, and that gives you the pets. Pretty strange. There is a new component that you can use instead of list view that makes things a little bit easier. And then I'm going to update the state. I'm going to change this to see, pets updated. Cool. Now let me see if this worked. Right here. All right, so we'll put a new pet name in. We'll put in Quaz pet. Dog. Named after Ellie's Island. Okay. All right, cool. So what just happened?
So songs, does that matter?
Oh, we still have songs? Where does it show?
Just that set state songs.
Oh, yeah, that's wrong. Yeah, thank you. Pets. Okay, so I just updated that. I'll do that again. I had the wrong key over here. Great. Not really. What just happened here? Well, it added something to the page. Let's see if anything happened to our API. So localhost, 3001 3001/pets. Okay, it did not add to our API, so something is off here. Localhost 3001/pets post. Let's see if that was the route. It is /pets. Oh, well, we need to be logged in, right? Let's change that. So I'll just temporarily change that so it'll be a little easier for us. Just comment this one out and get rid of this function, get rid of this thing, and that should let us do this. Add pet. All right, there we go, and it added the pet right there. And if I go to our API, refresh, LE dog. So it's going to use the same thing. So if you wanted to do a login system, it would be very similar with this. It's called async storage instead of local storage, but it would be very similar. So let me send you guys this code right now. You need to have your server running to be able to do this.
Also, you can send us that text file for the installation.
Yeah, did I send that or no? I did not. Let me just do that. Okay, let's see. It will be a pain getting it started, but once it does, it's pretty cool. And it used to be much, much more hard. I remember in a class of 50 students, only 3 of them got it going in 2016. All right, let's see if you can get it going.
Since I already have it, do I like this doing that here? So before that,
Close out of the simulator just to make it.
I'm not.
You close out of everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you should be able to just run npm run iOS now. Well, you got to npm run. I think you have to do yarn install. Yarn install and then npm run iOS. I think that should do it. But yarn install. I'm sorry. Wait, hold on.
Yarn installed and yarn start.
Hold on. Let me just take a look. Let me look at the file real quick.
Check your files.
Because I think you might have to do. You have to start up Expo. Oh, you have to do Expo start. So yarn install, Expo start.
I installed it with React Native CLI. I did not use Expo CLI.
That's fine.
That's fine.
Yes.
Okay.
You might be able to do npm start also.
Let's go.
Either npm start, Expo start.
Mr. What?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can use this one. It's using an export.
The installation instruction for this, to just install the ability to do this, or do you have to do this in every,
You
like,
can just create
project?
just copy or copy the code.
This right here, this is like all this stuff, that gets installed.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, but I can do that.
So you said you have installed.
It's global.
Uh,
How do you?
Okay, okay.
Oh, dash.
Then just,
Dash.
yeah, this installer, global install export. Make it global, so you are in global install. I guess install as, how do you, so you're in global, you're install, export. Export, still check. Let's try to do it, yeah, maybe first. Let's see what's out there. Make it start. Yeah, so, yeah, so, hold on, that's this one. So, maybe up to, nine, global, no, it's nine. You're using nine, right? Okay, so nine, global, install export dash line.
We'll hear your computers heat up very soon. Spin.
So, one word. Don't use install with yarn, right? Yarn global add. Huh? So you don't know. You don't think that's yarn. Yeah, yarn global add space expo. Yeah. Yeah. No, it's, oh yeah, you can. Oh, no. I think you install your, yeah, but, let's do it globally. I think it's, this, right, install your, that's just good one. Yeah. Are you inside of the, yeah, install. And then, just use your graph.
Tons of errors.
Yeah, so for some reason I can never do it install anything globally, so I always install it just in the project. So before I try to install it globally, this always pops up even though I do sudo, right?
You don't do sudo. Do you still get the errors?
Yeah, I still get
Show me the errors you get.
Let's see.
Hey, providing question. When you get a minute.
The one that you
Yeah, sure. Give me 1 sec.
the same area.
Okay, let's see. Yeah, I did it with sudo. That was the main issue.
So you should go back to the group.
Right here. Right.
So this is within the folder. This is
So it's dash G.
oh, it doesn't matter here.
Doesn't matter, yeah.
Oh, okay. Is every time we run this and it doesn't work, is it re-downloading all the files that's being downloaded right now?
Let's try. So it's having permission issues. So that's how you change the permissions of something. That should do it. It just gives permissions to be able to write to that folder.
So
yeah. Okay, so we have another problem. It did not work now.
yeah.
Anyone use this computer other than you?
This is my girlfriend's computer, but we wiped it when I started this course.
Oh, okay.
There might be another user though. So where'd you see that?
I made all the parent folders. I gave all the parent folders permission.
How do you know if it works? Or if there's no response?
If there was an error, then that would be it. But weird that this isn't working.
I don't understand how anyone ever fix things before the internet.
I know, right? Books.
What? That's fucking insane. Every single error has to be recorded.
Wait, it's not that. I thought this is the same.
I think let's install TypeScript first. It said that.
Installed. Really?
Install TypeScript?
So that right here.
But how are you going to install it globally?
So you have
I
to
know.
install your.
We'll try.
Why wouldn't it be? Why would it not be? I know.
That's hilarious.
Chicken egg. You can't install it because you need TypeScript. You can't install TypeScript because you need TypeScript.
Yeah, it would be a good one.
I need your help, bro. I need your help kit right here.
I'm gonna go terminal.
All right, let's see. Wait, William, what's up?
So
Yeah, so I put a picture on the general channel. What I got pretty much like error.
Okay, let's take a look.
okay,
Just do yarn.
If you can help me out with that.
what make a difference?
Of course.
It's the same thing though.
Yeah.
So this is the error.
Yeah, you can just do sudo.
Try that.
Just need permission to just change what to change.
Yeah. So he tried to do. that.
Yeah, use yarn to
Yeah.
install instead. Try that. That's what Kit just said.
What are you talking about?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah, I'm talking to you. Yeah, try using yarn instead to install.
No, install.
Okay.
So,
Alright.
this is what you're gonna do.
You can just delete.
So from now on, use yarn.
No, not really, but when you do, you should use yarn when you do it.
Yeah, so Xpro in it doesn't work for me.
Did you install Xbox?
Yeah, it did. And it ran fine. Are you able to look at like, is there a way to
Sandy,
pull
here
up the
good?
history of like my
Yeah, I
last?
think so. I just don't see I would think we'd have the server JS phone, that's all.
Oh, it's the same code from the previous.
Oh.
Yeah.
Do I need to do this?
No, you have node already, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so.
Because I closed out of this
For
window.
compiler,
Ah,
if you have to,
Expo.
if
That's
you're
fine.
using
Let's just close out of this.
you're good. Then you can do yarn, add yarn global add expo. Nope. Global.
Type it out.
Add
Yeah, that was why I closed
add,
out. It still doesn't work.
Yep.
Chrome's in here.
Did you install globally?
What? Oh yeah, you
Xbox.
just do Chrome, yeah, there you go. Yeah, I installed it globally. And it worked, like everything.
Yeah.
Went through it, so it was fine.
It's supposed to be a lot faster than that.
It depends because
Something like this
one
happened
has-
too for me when we did Nodemon. We had to like
I
create a
should have
shortcut for
learned this.
Nodemon.
I've been asked this during interviews.
Difference between yarn and NPM.
What is yarn doing or what NPM is doing?
What position are you
Yeah.
applying for?
I don't know. That was for Cribble Vibe. I don't know. Why would I want to know that? Right? Because
You tell me. Oh, fuck this time.
incompatible with this module, the Grok. Right, it's for the Linux ARM.
I should do triple back into this.
It's a waste of time.
Is it?
Thank you.
Open.
So weird.
JS.
I was hoping Kit might get that trade.
No. How did you?
Why, you think you'll know this better?
I think so. Let's see. Did install. Do you want to try running install again? Just for the hell of it. We'll try.
It ran fine, but yeah.
No, I believe you.
That's yarn install.
Oh, you don't have yarn?
I do have yarn. I've been using yarn start.
Oh, yarn global add.
Which template should we use?
Blank.
Until it's run, because this one is saying it's running.
Yeah, I keep doing it. I think I skipped over that.
Until an idea. Installing it, say.
Yeah.
Well, it worked, but I don't know why.
Wait, with yarn? Okay.
I think I created a new one.
Oh, okay. So you're not using Pavan's code then?
I'm using it, but I'm not using the app.js.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
It just feels like magic sometimes.
Working.
It's in magic.
Just feels like magic sometimes.
Yeah, because there's just so much going
That's the app.js right now, right?
This almost looks like Expo Work.
Hey, Pavan.
You have it working?
All right, cool. It works.
Hey, Pavan.
What's up, dude?
Yeah, so that didn't work either. I sent you the message that I got.
Yeah, so it's telling you right now to do yarn global add. See that line right there? It's saying please run yarn global add expo dash clean instead.
Yeah, so I did that. Let me do that again.
Was it the
For some
No,
reason,
you did yarn install dash g expo dash clee, and it told you to do yarn global add expo clee. Try this one.
oh, okay.
This should work. Yeah.
So what do we do exactly?
Thanks, man.
Awesome app. This is the mobile app.
I do.
Didn't work.
So within the Pets mobile app, we created the mobile app. That's what this is right here. This awesome app.
Oh yeah, this is a brand new app, right? This is the actual mobile app. So if you want to create a brand new app, that's what you would do.
Okay.
But you don't need this here. Right. So what you could do is you could do yarn install.
Okay.
Right. You could do those commands over here. So you could do. Let me message this out to everyone. Yarn install, and then you could do expo start, and then npm run iOS. I'm gonna try that.
Within the directory.
Within that directory.
Not within the client folder, just within the regular folder.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Okay, it seems to be working now, I guess.
That's awesome.
Thanks, man.
No problem.
Is it supposed to take a little long? Like, on the
Yeah, it does take a little bit of time.
All right.
Right. So the installation guide I gave you is how to do a brand new app. This is how you would do, how you would get the app that I made started. You would do yarn install, and then you would either do npm start or expo start, and then you would do npm run iOS. That's okay. It's good to know that worked, because if that doesn't work, then nothing's gonna work.
I'm just trying to duplicate install right now. Why it's just stopping? Just sitting there.
Oh man, it's just dying right there.
Yeah.
Each time you try it.
Yeah. Still trying to run the server, but there's not.
This is the one I gave you.
Yeah.
Let's remove the yarn lockbox thing. That'll help us. Try it out. Sometimes getting rid of the lock files seems to fix issues. Okay. Yeah, get rid of the lock files.
That'll make it.
There. Issues.
Because I don't have module, so I was trying to npm install.
How weird.
I got the yarn start to work. I'm just trying to get the server to work.
Oh, there's no. Oh, why do you need that one? That's really weird. Oh, what is this? Sorry.
That server?
This whole thing. Okay, see, let's go over the package on JSON file. So see, this React Native. Oh, server. So I think the React Native stuff is mixed in with the servers. Yeah, so you want to keep the mobile app should be completely separate from the server. And then
The server can be on a different file.
yeah, so the way we did it for our web app was we had the server, and then that was the backend, and server.js, and then we had a folder called client. Inside client, that was all our front end stuff, React stuff. And then we have a separate folder for our mobile app. And all of our mobile app stuff goes in there. So completely separate, because that's its own package.
Okay, I think I can.
It used to be 100,000 per session. It's just, I think now it's, you wanna, put your code, put the code in the app store.
So it's required now to do that.
Right,
You can just use
Just
it.
go to the app store and just go out there. How do you do that?
And you just go, you have to start an expo.
Hey,
Yeah.
yeah, that's NPM.
Either expo start or
Right, so I did that.
and then it should open up a new thing in the browser. Good. And then take a new tab and then make a new tab, write that down. A new tab with the same directory.
Have you sent this out?
Yeah, this is the same file, but updated.
Oh.
Let me send this out right now. What does it say? Yeah, it looks like you use npm start instead of expo start, maybe.
What do you do to it? Can install or you can install? Yeah.
As soon as I see some people's screens.
Oh,
working.
Yeah.
Cool, great. Got one person.
No, it's installed. They're installed.
I don't know Xcode install. And I did here.
It's gonna take you
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then
you
the
do,
computer.
Yeah, it's installed.
Yeah, I did that and you launch.
Yeah.
Was it
Bay
good?
Area. I mean, some people use it, right? Oh, if you're gonna back here, it's kind of long. You should do this one. You can make one after fine. And it's like, okay, fine. Yeah. I do it. They work. They work for you?
No, I got posted on James like popped up permissions and
Try yarn install instead of doing npm install. Yeah, eventually. And then if it doesn't work, go to hardware, erase all, and then close out of the simulator, and then restart the whole process. Be ready for a pop-up saying open the next one.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Something else, that's good. Yeah, so you go back to terminal, press I. Press I. And we don't have.
So Vaughn, just to understand, so when we download the Expo app, where it's going to be on the same Wi-Fi.
Yeah, you're on the same line, but you have like router access. And then if your computer's connected, if your phone's connected, it's a lot easier to jump on there.
And that you follow everything.
Yeah, you just hand it to our It's pretty cool. That don't work right now.
Yeah.
I think should I expect an error if that happens? Because
It didn't show anything?
it just shows that it just came right to the main page. Yeah.
That's not good. So, did you run npm run iOS? You did, right? Oh, wait, hold on, wait. Keep that open. Oh, wait, this is good, Oh, wait, what is this?
Wait for it. You might have to do it myself. Near the hardware and do it again.
I didn't almost write Expo. It said, it gave me a list of commands I could do. One of those typed I.
I did, but it's not, I installed more components. Is what it said.
Let this run for like
Hey, Pavan.
and then when NPM runs, and then you should see
You know,
like
I have the app here, right here, just like this. but
Open it.
I have it installed, like, for some reason, I clicked on it, it said, you need to install components. So-
Hey William, what's up?
Yeah, so can you check the last picture that I sent? That's what I want, right?
Yeah, that looks good. You want to do npm, you want to do expo start, and then in a new tab in the same directory, you want to run npm run iOS.
Expo start.
You want to do expo start, and then in a new tab in the same directory, you want to run npm run iOS.
Okay, and then then open a new tab on the terminal, right?
Yeah, and you want to be in the same directory.
Right. Okay. So cool. So terminal.
Even does it work? Nice. That's great. All right, 3 people.
Xcode told me to install additional.
That does not.
It's gonna take a while. It's gonna take a while.
I already had it installed.
Did you see the the Mongo doc?
They should buy another machine.
Well, that's a good sign, but you have to close out of those now and restart the process.
Not sure you get back in front. Make sure you're back in front.
I don't know what's installed.
Close out.
It's still like terminal.
Yeah, close out this and then restart it. Close out the simulators also. Make sure you close out the simulators and then restart the process.
Just erase all content and settings.
Yeah, hardware erase all content and settings. That's what I did before. Hope you feel better.
Video.
So, good.
No,
What do you mean no?
I'm here.
Just wait for it then.
What else? I did erase all content settings.
Yeah, so now you have to wait.
That's all I have to do.
Yeah, it's no thing. Have to buy. Yeah, so if you go to just go back to terminal and just press I. Oh, but out of the terminal.
Because it was doing this, it was installing something.
Yeah, so just run it again. Expo start. Then when you press, yeah, then there, wait, can you go back to terminal? Yeah, there you go. Right. To load your.
That's great.
So hard. Something we backed out of.
Yeah, because you erase it. It's a lot of code, you know. There. Just put.
Did you do this every time?
I did that before, so I'm not using Expo, so. These are there's 2 cell lines. So
Oh really?
this one and that.
Did I wait?
Yeah, it's here right now, so. Where's that?
That's it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it will just pop up here, like open, expo, click it.
It seems to just be going back and forth between the two files. Like it's just like it looks like it's.
Some snow ahead, so I'm not sure. Because he's got a lot here. And now I'm starting to guess. Trying to design, that's what I saw on my bird. And he's starting to get, oh. That is what I saw that. And then I saw pop up like open expo.
Yeah, I got that one. Yeah, I clicked on it earlier. I asked for the login.
Oh.
Yeah, it's still on there, right?
Yeah. He's good. Sorry, tests. Well, this is good that you saw our sets. You probably just don't have zero on it. Yeah,
I don't know why. Oh, there you go. Now we have an error.
Yeah, so, hey, it's working.
The Safari operation not permitted marking. Why Safari is involved?
JWT token one.
Cash? What Spanish you sing?
Yeah. Same.
Mine just went live too. It was working for a second, and then
Yeah.
Change the code up.
There you go.
It's not gonna let you do it without.
Do one. Go to back your terminal. And do another I there. And, yeah. Yep. That's it.
what did you do? You quit out of it again?
Yeah. Just force. Brute force it.
Why is it okay?
Yeah, it's
The
good.
percentages I think it was
Yeah.
going up and down. It was like going 23, 24, 23, 24.
It's trying to be good.
On the end.
You don't have a connection. You have to run your backend server.
Hey kid, you know how to, like, when you open up a new window, quickly jump back to the directory that you were last in?
Okay.
Open in what window? So, like, let's say you open up a new terminal window, but I want to go back to the last directory, it's just like there, also try cd space minus.
All of these.
Minus. How did you do that earlier?
Oh, there's no LPW. It's a new window.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
But if it's an old window, you can. Joshua, minus. That's fine. Try CD minus.
Well, I'm doing Android for yes.
Did you install?
Yeah, I had it installed.
Oh, okay.
Let's see what happens. Already.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I'm not sure.
Good. Go to your. Yeah. Still bundling. So, good?
Yeah, all right. But how do you the login portion? Is that not?
Yeah, you make sure your server is running. So this is the third zip file, right? So the second one. Make sure the second you run the second one. And then don't close that one. Yeah, you close to it.
No, it's right here.
Oh yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Then
I can run the server on this one.
there's no. They said there's no server on that one. Yeah, do an ls. Yeah, there's no server.
Why do you have to?
You can just go back.
How do you go back one?
That.
I think there's a server here. Yeah.
Yeah. Oops. It's running.
It is running. Oh yeah, I have it running.
Okay. There we go.
So how do you get the login again to actually post the name of the pet and stuff like that?
What I did was I just commented out the verify token function,
Yeah, okay.
and then it'll let you do it.
Okay.
Otherwise, you have to like pass that along with the parameters.
Yes, gotcha. You actually have to pass along the sign in, sign up.
Exactly.
It's a minor adjustment, right?
It's not that bad.
Yeah.
Because you just have a form.
Instead of
You have to have a
storage.
form for you could have a login form right there, and then you could log in, take the JWT token, you can put it into async storage.
Yeah,
It's called async storage.
That's the only difference there. Instead of local storage. But for the form, everything is very easy. You just input text, I guess.